welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Vivek, you come from Kashmir, the paradise on earth.
That's right.
How was the experience there?
Well, I spent my formative years in Kashmir, as you rightly said. I was born and brought up in Srinagar. I was there till the age of 12, 13.
So did you think at that point of time that, okay, I'll start something of my own, or were you just working?
Not in the
Because
first,
you
not
wanted a job?
not at the point of time, not at the point of time at all. The first job was, I said, in this broadband company called Hathway. I told him, okay, let's do something together. Let's create a wireline broadband company in Kashmir.
They didn't want to give you 5% also. So how did you tackle pulling out cables around unstructured places?
Yeah.
How did you go about that?
Great question. So for that, we had to change the business model. We understood that, you see, 70% of all capital investment in this business is in the last mile. Last mile means the last meters of cable,
Right.
which go from nearest POP to the home of the customer. 70% of all investment in this business is that cable. And then how to maintain that cable, how to sort of make it safe
And repair it also.
and repair it
later
also.
on.
So we thought we cannot do it ourselves with our 12 crore, with peanuts. Billions and billions are needed for that, and it's not very easy to do that. So let's Uberize the whole model. Let's get a businessman involved who can invest in the last mile and maintain the last mile in the way we envisage it, in the way we plan it. And we discovered cable operator. A cable operator, is embedded in every locality of India.
And they were also running out of business.
Yeah, whether structured, whether unstructured, whether rich,
Right.
poor, they're serving everybody, every section of the society they were serving, and they were running overhead cables everywhere, and very well actually, because in 1990 cable TV started, and till around let's say decade back we only depended on
did.
cable operator to do it. Yeah, so they were running coaxial cable to houses to run cable TV. We said no, okay, for us you don't have to run coaxial cable. For us you have to lay a new network, a fiber-optic network, a fiber network which goes to home. As per our specification, as per our standards, you lay the passive fiber network, we'll put electronics in it, and then we'll control the quality.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's all you do, nothing else you have to do. You have to invest in the wire and maintain the wire. That's it. Don't do anything. We'll sell, we'll do customer acquisition, we'll do customer onboarding, we'll do customer service. All touch points will be controlled by us. But you are at the back end, in the background, investing in fiber and maintaining the fiber. So for example, in Delhi, we have 5 lakh users, and for those 5 lakh users, we have 800 such operators. We call them channel partners, we call them ERPs, Excitel regional partners. Now these ERPs control one pocket of every locality, let's say 5,000 homes or 10,000 homes per operator. And then similarly we have 800 such operators.
Right.
Okay, all of them are connected to Excitel backbone. We have connected all of them to our backbone through some 8,000 kilometers of fiber. We connect all of them. But from that backbone, from that POP onwards, point of presence onwards, they lay their network according to our specification, according to our standards. Then we put electronics and control all the elements, and then we go and sell. Again, imagine Uber. The taxi driver owns the taxi,
Yeah.
but you don't talk to taxi driver. You talk to Uber
talk to-
through an app, through a system. You pay to Uber through a system. So all touch points are controlled by Uber, and yet the taxi belongs to the taxi driver.
Right.
Yeah. So similarly in our case, okay, not so stark because we do have last mile and we have back end which we control and manage. The last mile is owned by the cable operator. Yet the experience, the sales, the negotiation, and everything is done by us at the back end. Yeah.
That was such an innovative idea.
That's
How
right.
did you come across it?
We had seen all startups, all global startups like Airbnb. They don't own any
Right.
hotels, but yet they're the biggest hotel company in the world. Uber is the biggest taxi company in the world, yet they don't own taxis. We understood that for startups, and that's a lesson for everybody, all startups. In today's world, to give challenge to traditional businesses who have lots of money. What do traditional businesses have? They have lots of capital to deploy, and for you, capital is valuable. Somebody investing in you, you have to give them returns, multiple
Right,
returns.
right.
You cannot do by just following what traditional businesses are doing. You have to find innovation. You have to find innovative business models. You have to find innovative practices in which you can give run for the money to the traditional businesses, and yet don't invest so much. And this gig economy is one such thing.
True.
Yeah. there was this company called Meru, if you remember, in taxis.
Yeah.
Meru owned all taxis.
And it died.
Of course,
Of its
because the model Uber model is so powerful that nobody can sort
Right.
of fight with it. Similarly, with so many sort of businesses that you see that they have organized the unorganized. They are organizing the unorganized market, and ultimately through internet, through power of internet, you see, without internet you cannot envisage any startup. Without power of internet, you cannot envisage Zomato.
True.
For example, if there is no Zomato, what do you do? Call those restaurants?
We were doing
We
that.
were doing that, and it was so complicated.
It was.
Yeah. Similarly, without internet, you cannot. There's no Uber. You were calling taxi wala bhaiya from your neighborhood taxi stand. And it was so complicated.
It was.
Yeah. Now, power of internet, sort of, it gives you such a leverage, to take on, think of new businesses, think of innovative ideas, and take on traditional businesses. Try solve problems which are there, which are obviously there, and people know they have such problems, and there are many problems which you don't know you have such problems. I keep on mentioning about Blinkit. I didn't know I have a problem of having grocery in 8 minutes.
We went.
Yeah.
We bought and we came back
We
home.
didn't think it's a problem. It was normal. Or at the most, you would call that bhaiya and bhaiya would send in 1 hour.
Yeah.
But now I need grocery in 8 minutes. I start cooking and then I remember, oh, I don't have this. Okay, let me have it. Yeah. So such problems also exist, which people are not so obviously accustomed to. So yeah, that's how you go about doing your businesses in today's day and time. If you have to take on, for example, whom are we sort of competing against? We're competing against big telco giants. Now these giants have capital, and they can kill you with capital. They can deploy.
True.
Unless until you have an innovative business model wherein your costs are 1/3 or fraction of theirs, you cannot survive in this market.
Right.
So you have to be innovative always. Yeah.
And then in this journey, COVID came in.
Oh yes.
Right.
Oh yes.
And things changed a lot.
Yes.
In the positive direction or in the negative one?
For us, in positive direction, simply because of the fact that I keep on saying this, that before COVID, each sale of wire and broadband used to be a concept sale. What does it mean? Our FAC on the street would talk to a customer and say, we are bringing wireline broadband. We're selling. It says, first question was, how is it different than a Geo mobile connection? How is it different than 4G? Yeah, it was always a question. And then COVID did this for us. During COVID, people understood that for all data heavy applications like work from home, study from home, binge watching a series or watching Netflix and so on and so forth, you cannot rely on your mobile connection. You cannot rely on your mobile broadband because one, the speeds would not be there. Second, the connectivity inside home is very bad. And third, there are limits, data limits. Yeah. And you need a resilient fiber to home connection for all data intensive applications inside home. Yeah. And again, because during COVID, you have to do a lot of work from home, study, schools went, inside the home, and also people had time to watch a lot of TV, a lot of OTT, and so on and so forth. They understood that mobile is not enough. Mobile will not help them, and they need to have a proper dedicated wireline broadband. So, I think we sort of entered COVID at 3 lakh connections and exited COVID at 6 lakh connections. We doubled our user base during COVID.
So after your journey of starting a business, taking it to great heights, how do you see life in retrospective, and how do you understand entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think there are two ways of living your life. One is, you let circumstances take care of it. You let it drift past. You let others take control of your life. Or someday you decide that you're going to be in control of your own destiny.
Right.
And I think as long as you are working for others, you are renting out your time, you're being paid for your time, you can never be in control of your destiny.
True.
I keep on saying this in my talks to students that it's very, very fragile to work for others. Why is it fragile? Because you may be doing your best, but your teammates may not be doing as well, and then you get penalized as a team. Or you may be putting in your best efforts, but your boss may be some erratic person or may have different ideas, and then you get penalized for something that you didn't do, or everybody can be putting in efforts, but the board has made wrong bets and wrong ideas, and the idea itself has a problem, and still you get penalized for it. So as long as you're working for others, as long as you have a job and you are being paid for your time, you are always in a very fragile situation. Yeah. What is the definition of fragile? Fragile is something when you put stress, it breaks.
Right.
Like glass is fragile. And what is opposite of fragile? People would, what do you say?
Strong, strength.
No, it's not.
Something that's unbreakable.
No, not true. Because fragile is something, when you put stress on it, it breaks. Robust or strong, that you say, is something on which you put stress and nothing much happens to it. But we're talking about a system wherein you put stress on it and it gains strength.
Oh.
Yeah, and there is no general term for it in English, but Nassim Taleb calls it anti-fragile.
Oh.
Yeah, anti-fragile is the system which gains strength by stress. And human body is an example of it. You go to
Right.
gym, put stress on your muscles, and muscles grow. Yeah. Or a child, when a child is born, what do? You immunize the child. What is immunization? Immunization is introducing that virus in a dormant form in the body of the child. And to do what? To stimulate your nerve system, to your immune system. And then immunity develops in the child, and child is able to fight that disease when it comes. So human body is an example of anti-fragile, something that gains by disorder, that gains by stress. Yeah. Similarly, I claim entrepreneurship is anti-fragile by nature, while as working for others is always fragile. That, as I said, that you can be penalized for things that you're not in control of. In entrepreneurship, every time you fail, you learn how not to fail like that again. You make a mistake, next time you'll not make that mistake again. Yeah.
Okay, this brings me to a very interesting question. How many employees do you have?
Currently around 2000.
2000. So
Yeah.
how do you keep those 2000 employees motivated to work for Excitel and not for their own brand? Because not everybody can be building, right?
Yeah, interesting. So you see, again, you have to give them that kind of independence, so that it looks like a joint venture, that all of us are together in it, and we're together trying to solve a problem, and we are together getting rewarded or penalized for not doing our jobs. Like an entrepreneur gets penalized if business doesn't work, and gets rewarded when it does well. Similarly, all our top management has ESOPs. They have some part of the company, some equity they own.
Right.
And therefore, if the company does well, they do well, they create wealth. Similarly, at the bottom level, people who work in sales and others, they have incentives.
Right.
And incentives are unlimited. As much they work, they keep on earning. Again, there is high upside for doing well. I think that's critical for people to be involved, for people to work as if it's their business. Our philosophy is that everybody at every position should feel that part of business is theirs, and they should maintain it with that responsibility. The day it comes to their mind that it's a job and I have to just do the job for the heck of it, the rot starts in the company. So we don't want that. We want this entrepreneurial zeal, entrepreneurial streak to be in every employee inside the company, and
Right.
for that we sort of tweak our packages, tweak the way we compensate them accordingly.
That's very interesting, and I think that's how entrepreneurs work. That
Yes.
they're driven by that zeal to work and to build more wealth
That's
and to
right.
build a
That's right.
company, and
That's
then
right.
they want to drive the entire company also in that direction.
That's right. That's right.
What else is your life's philosophy?
Well, see, ultimately, whatever you do should go to the maximum number of people. You should be able to, affect life of millions of people out there. Transform it in a way, that it changes forever. For example, right now we're trying to bring in world-class fiber to home, wireline broadband to places where it's never been. And it's not just about entertainment. It's not just about entertaining them. Many businesses are being built on this broadband right now. I think thousands and thousands of people are running their businesses
True.
on it right now, and they're creating their own circle of influence there. Many podcasters, many small boutiques,
Right.
so many of them use internet for their work now.
True.
World Bank says that 10% increase in wireline broadband penetration of a country leads to around 1.5-2% growth in GDP of the country. So it's directly proportional to the well-being and wealth creation in the country. And we know it now that in mobile, using a mobile, you cannot do much business. Ultimately, you need wireline and broadband to really create a business,
Right.
small business from your home, and that's transformative. That's transformatory for the society overall. I think with what we are doing, we are trying to create that impact in those sections of society, in those areas where proper, dedicated, desirable speeds, having a connection with desirable speeds and having a connection which is robust has not been there. And now we're providing that opportunity for that transformation to happen. So yeah, this transformation that we're doing right now is one thing that's very close to me, that the effect it's having on overall society, overall country is, it cannot be sort of overlooked. And at the same time, this is what keeps me going. I mean, this notion and this knowledge that this impact is being created while we speak. The more we penetrate, the more we grow, the more that impact, sort of happens. You just understand, in structured parts of urban India, usually people who are affluent live, or people who have means live. And in this unstructured part, mostly people who don't have such means live. Now, the lives in India have been compartmentalized. Not just India, I think whole of the world is like that. They're compartmentalized. Why? There are bubbles we have created within the city. For example, in Delhi also, there are many bubbles. There is West
You've
Delhi
got
bubble,
South
there is
Delhi, you've got
South
Civil
Delhi
Lines,
bubble.
you've
Yeah,
got-
exactly. These are bubbles.
Right.
And then there is Shadra bubble, then there is Lakshmi Nagar bubble, and so on and so
Right.
forth. Now these bubbles don't interact much with each other. For example, people living in South Delhi don't really think about Shadra. I think people of South Delhi hardly have been to Shadra as such. Similarly, so on and so forth. What I'm trying to say is that the facilities in such bubbles are completely different. Now the kids, the schools and facility for kids in South Delhi are different than one in, let's say, Uttam Nagar. Completely different. The
Right,
schools are different. The play facilities are different. The way they get, their education is different. But yet, internet is same. Yet, wireline broadband is same. And that access to broadband remains same around the city and around the country. Now, this is the great leveler. It's a great democratizing kind of a medium which levels this irregularity, which levels this disparity, and therefore gives equal opportunity to everybody. Now, if you think of this in that term, then you will see it's a great enabler, it's a great leveler, and people can do much using it. And I think that's very, very important to understand, and that's very, very important leveling kind of an influence we have in society right now.
Right. So Vivek, we see Excitel competing with big brands like Reliance also, Airtel also. BSNL is also there. How do you take competition and how do you see your competitors?
You see, again, as I said before also, we cannot compete with them with their strengths. Their strength is capital. They have a lot of capital, they have a lot of access to money, and they can deploy that money, and they can outclass you and outshine you any day with money. So you have to be smarter about it. You have to have leverage. In our case, as I said, the leverage is our cable operator. The leverage is this local entrepreneur investing in the money. Leverage is smart systems and smart, IT systems, because IT systems scale very well. People don't, systems do. So again, that leverage we're using. We're using cable operator and IT systems put together to fight it. It's again like David versus Goliath. David had strength and size, and yet, let's do it again. So again, it's again like David versus Goliath. One very, very strong and powerful and seemingly unbeatable, and yet the other one very small and yet very effective. I think that analogy goes well with what we're trying to achieve here. You have to be smart about it. You have to always consider the fact that you cannot beat them by doing what they are doing. You have to be innovative about it. You have to put innovation at work, and always find of ways. See, the market is quite big, and as I said, it's highly underpenetrated. Yeah, so there is space for everybody in this market. All I'm trying to say is that don't do what they are doing. Don't just copy that. It's not scalable. You'll not be able to scale it. Do it in a way which is effective, which is not so much effort. It doesn't require so much efforts and doesn't require so much capital to do. Yeah, so that's our way of doing it.
So you've also started something called as Kashmir Launchpad.
Yeah,
That's your way of giving back to the place you come from.
that's right. That's right.
What exactly are you doing there?
Well, Launchpad Kashmir is an incubation facility for startups coming out from J&K. Now, from last 5-6 years, we see many small startups coming out from Kashmir. Many youngsters trying to understand the startup ecosystem and trying to, sort of create something on their own. And yet there are many, sort of limitations, many hindrances, and many problems in the ideation stage itself. All of us, if you think of a guy who has an idea or a girl who has an idea, the first thing they think about is funding. Who will fund it?
True.
And we claim that that's not important. What is important is that you understand the idea very well. You understand. See, there are stages of how a startup is formed. First and foremost, what is the problem you're trying to solve? You have to think of what is the problem you're trying to solve. Then, is your solution, the solution that you're proposing for that problem, is it really a good business model? Does it make money? Because ultimately it has to make money. And can it scale very fast? Yeah. If answers of all these three questions is yes, then you run a pilot. And in these 4 or 5 stages, you try to understand the whole ecosystem of the market you are trying to work in. Now, this is all before taking money. This is all before taking investment. And we see most of startups don't do this work. Don't do this brainstorming. Don't do this, tight out. The rigor is missing in the way of doing it. So we want to bring that rigor. We want to bring them from ideation stage to the stage where they're ready to be funded.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what we are trying to do with.
That's very interesting,
Yeah.
and we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks a lot. All
It
right.
was lovely having this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you had a great time and Vivek's vision of building a company did resonate with you. With this week, we are starting a new segment at IBL wherein we are going to invite one of the viewers to ask a question to the founder. So this week we have Astha Arora, who is going to ask questions about how somebody can start a business.